Isaiah, a notable Old Testament prophet, gained renown for his visions that anticipated the suffering of Jesus Christ. His prophecies, incredibly, always came true, giving him a unique reputation among divine messengers. This fearless prophet did not hesitate to confront the kings of Israel, pointing out the inevitable consequences if they continued on wrong paths. Isaiah was not just a seer, but a courageous critic, pointing to the truth even when it was uncomfortable. His prophecies were not just warnings of impending disasters, they were called to reflection, calling on the people to reconsider their choices. Isaiah looked beyond appearances, seeing the roots of problems and proposing divinely inspired solutions. As we explore this incredible journey through the pages of the Bible, we will understand how Isaiah played a crucial role in shaping Israel's destiny and how his words echo through the centuries, offering us timeless lessons. Isaiah, whose name means Yahweh helps or Yahweh is help, exercised his ministry in the kingdom of Judah, having married a wife known as the prophetess who was the mother of two sons, Shear-Jashub and Mer-Salal-Hasbaz. Chapter 6 of the book informs about Isaiah's call to become a prophet through a vision of the throne of God in the temple, accompanied by seraphim, in which one of these angelic beings would have flown to him bringing live coals from the altar to purify his lips in order to cleanse him from his sin. Then, after this, Isaiah hears a voice from God determining that he take his message to the people. Focusing on Jerusalem, Isaiah's prophecy, in its first half, transmits messages of punishment and judgment for the sins of Israel, Judah, and neighboring nations, dealing with some events that occurred during the reign of Hezekiah, which occurs until the end of chapter 39. Isaiah began his extraordinary mission around 735 BC, a time full of challenges and crucial decisions for the people of Israel. His calling was not just to predict the future, but to bring light to the dark paths the nation was taking. At that time, King Ahaz's death was imminent, and Isaiah did not hesitate to proclaim this prediction. However, his words were not limited to announcements of tragedies. They were impassioned warnings, urging the people to reconsider their actions and seek a more just path. Isaiah, in his early years as a prophet, was not just interested in future events, but in bringing a deeper understanding of moral and ethical choices. He highlighted the connection between the actions of the present and the inevitable consequences of the future. In this early period, Isaiah became a crucial voice amid political and social turmoil, offering divine wisdom in times of uncertainty. His role transcended that of a simple visionary. He became a spiritual and moral guide to a nation in desperate need of guidance. By unraveling this intriguing phase of Isaiah's life, we will understand how his early prophecies shaped not only the course of history, but also the way future generations interpreted divine messages. This is not just a story of past events, but a revealing look at the timelessness of the truths Isaiah proclaimed. In Isaiah's time, people attended the temple, but for the prophet this is not enough, because filling the temple with iniquity and solemnity is a huge mistake. Isaiah 1 verses 10 to 20. This is because the people who bring offerings to God are the same ones who don't care about making the law work, who don't do justice to the unprotected orphan and the abandoned widow. Isaiah, in one of the most violent prophetic texts against a cult that works only to mask the injustices that are committed on a daily basis, asks the princes of Sodom and the people of Jerusalem to listen to the word of Yahweh. Influenced by Isaiah's powerful words, King Hezekiah embarked on a period of religious reforms designed to purify the nation of idolatry and spiritual corruption. This was not just a king, but a leader who sought to align his reign with divine principles. Isaiah played a crucial role in this reform movement, urging Hezekiah to confront the evils of idolatry that had permeated society. His words were not just reproaches, but a call for deep and lasting transformation. However, despite Isaiah's spiritual influence, Hezekiah was hesitant to follow the prophet's political advice. Ignoring warnings about dangerous alliances, Hezekiah made decisions that would have serious consequences for the kingdom. The duality between Hezekiah's religious reforms and political choices creates an intriguing drama. Isaiah, as a spiritual guide, attempted to balance the need for spiritual purification with a wise approach to political matters, but the consequences of his recommendations were not fully understood at the time. As we explore this chapter, we will realize that it is not just the story of a king and his reforms, but a timeless conflict between divine wisdom and the complexities of political decisions. Isaiah was not just a prophet, he was a catalyst for change who faced the challenges of uniting the spiritual and the political in a nation in search of identity and purpose. Upon Hezekiah's death, his son, Manasseh, ascended the throne at just 12 years of age, beginning a reign that contrasted sharply with his father's legacy. Manasseh would not follow in the footsteps of the righteous king who preceded him. Far from being a pious king, Manasseh stood out as the most wicked among the rulers, delving delving deeply into idolatry, violence, and relentless persecution of the prophets. His accession to the throne marked a dark change in the trajectory of Judah. Idolatry became the norm under Manasseh's reign, with the building of altars to forbidden gods and the practice of condemned rituals. The nation that once sought spiritual purification was now immersed in practices that provoked divine wrath. Manasseh not only tolerated violence, he promoted it. Oppression and persecution against God's prophets became hallmarks of his reign. The voices that called for righteousness were silenced by the king's cruelty. As we enter this tumultuous period, we witness not only the story of a king and his choices, but a look at how power can corrupt and distort the values of a nation. Manasseh, a young monarch, became a dark symbol of how the abuse of power can shape a people's destiny. Divine judgment hung over Manasseh when God revealed his wrath against the king's wicked practices. Dark prophecies were uttered, anticipating that, because of Manasseh's sins, the people would be delivered into the hands of their enemies. This prophetic announcement was not just a warning, it was an echo of the inevitable consequences that awaited those who strayed from the paths of righteousness. God, in his justice, could not ignore the transgressions of the king and the people. Manasseh, despite his long reign of 55 years, was unable to escape the divine judgment that would unfold upon Judah and Israel. His dark mark on history would not be erased, and the consequences of his actions would resonate beyond his time. The prophecy was not just about the fall of Manasseh, but about the implications for the nation he led. Judah's fate was intricately linked to the king's choices, and God's judgment would echo through the years, leaving a lasting lesson. As we explore this period of divine judgment, we realize that the story of Manasseh goes beyond a simple reign. She reveals the intersection between human actions and divine intervention, a timeless reminder that our choices have lasting consequences, both for ourselves and those we lead. In the darkness of Manasseh's perversity, the persecution of the prophets became a sad reality. Those who dared to oppose idolatry and denounce the evils of the kingship were targets of his cruelty, resulting in a dark chapter in the history of Judah. Tradition echoes stories of relentless persecution, where Manasseh not only repressed, but went to the extreme of taking the lives of prophets who dared to challenge his impious practices. This cruel violence became a tool to silence voices calling for righteousness. Among these prophets was Isaiah, son of Amoz, a renowned divine messenger who ironically predicted Manasseh's own ascension to the throne. The prophet who once proclaimed the word of God now faced the wrath of the king who had strayed from the divine ways. The connection between Manasseh and Isaiah creates a fascinating drama, where the prophet who predicted the king's rise now faces persecution at the hands of the same monarch. This twist in the narrative highlights the irony and complexity of interactions between leaders and prophets during that tumultuous period. As we enter this period of persecution, we are faced with the sad reality of the consequences of Manasseh's choices. The connection to Isaiah not only emphasizes the prophet's tragedy, but sheds light on the dangerous dynamics that arise when power strays from the path of justice and truth. According to tradition, Isaiah's last moments were marked by a desperate attempt to avoid the tragic fate that lay ahead when Manasseh relentlessly pursued him to his death. On this harrowing journey, Isaiah came across an intriguing miracle involving a cedar tree. A moment of divine transcendence, where nature seemed to respond to the presence of the prophet. This twist in the narrative adds a layer of mystery to the final events of Isaiah. However, even in the face of this glimpse of a miracle, Isaiah did not escape the cruel fate that awaited him. In the Jerusalem Talmud, it is stated that Isaiah was killed when, while being pursued by King Manasseh, he hid inside a cedar. The fringes of his clothes, however, revealed his presence, and so the king ordered the cedar to be sawn in half, causing his death. Tradition reports that after this divine experience, Isaiah was cruelly sawn in half, an age-old execution that resonates as a painful expression of the persecution he faced. This story not only portrays the sadness of Isaiah's last moments, but also highlights the prophet's resistance to the threats of a king who strayed from the divine paths. The cedar tree, a symbol of resistance, was unable to prevent the tragic outcome. As we explore this story, we are led to reflect on Isaiah's courage in the face of persecution and the often merciless nature of power when it clashes with those who dare to speak the truth. Isaiah's story is not just a narrative of past events, but a vivid reminder of how the pursuit of justice can be marked by profound sacrifices. Isaiah, in his career, faced monumental challenges and intense opposition for having the courage to criticize leaders' decisions and prophesy about imminent tragedies. His boldness was not only in predicting future events, but in confronting injustices and warning Israel about the wrong paths. His story transcends the centuries, reminding us of the importance of remaining true to our beliefs, even in the face of adversity. Isaiah not only preached, but lived his convictions, facing persecution and execution for his commitment to divine truth. As we look at the current relevance of this narrative, we are prompted to reflect on the ongoing need for courage and integrity amidst leaders and systems that can stray from justice. Isaiah inspires us not to remain silent in the face of injustice and to remain faithful to our beliefs, even when faced with opposition. His story also teaches us that individual choices have lasting collective impacts. Isaiah's confrontation with powerful leaders and his prophecies not only resonated with contemporaries but echoed through the centuries, offering timely lessons about the importance of standing up for what is right, regardless of circumstances. As we delve into the lessons provided by Isaiah's life, we are challenged to be agents of change, to seek the truth even when it is inconvenient, and to remain firm in our convictions regardless of the adversities that may come our way. The story of Isaiah is not just an ancient narrative, it is a call to action, a persistent reminder that, even in the face of the greatest challenges, the search for justice and truth must prevail. And so we conclude this captivating narrative about the death of the prophet Isaiah at the hands of King Manasseh. The Bible, rich in intriguing stories and timeless lessons, leaves us reflecting on the role of Isaiah and his sacrifice for his convictions. I hope you enjoyed this journey. If you liked it, leave a like, share with friends, and subscribe for more informative and engaging content. Thank you very much for following us, and see you next time.